You know, in another life, I would have just loved sitting on the couch and watching the 4.3 billion movies that came out in 22 with you. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we are doing, finally, my top 10 movies of 2022. Now, there obviously were a few that I wanted to get to watch before I actually did this, which is why I'm doing it a month into 2023. There are a few that I still haven't seen that I'm fairly confident wouldn't have made at least my top 10. One or two of them might have made my honorable mentions, but there's too many movies. But let's get started with all of my honorable mentions. There are more than I usually have, but you know what? I'm just gonna do it anyway.
This just says I can do what I want.
The Black Phone, Pearl, Fall, Elvis, Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, Violent Night, The Whale, Smile, and Babylon. Babylon was like very, very close to being on my top 10 list. It was a huge struggle to try to figure this one out, but you all know how much I love Babylon, at least parts of it from my last video, so I feel pretty confident in you guys knowing that that would have been right there. All right, at number 10, fittingly enough, X. I absolutely thought that this was one of the best horror director debuts that I've seen in a long time, like that of Jordan Peele or Robert Eggers or Ari Aster, or even Mike Flanagan, just some of the big ones that we've had the last couple of years. Ty West did an amazing job having this sort of just throwback to those 70s slashers. It was a really interesting new concept. The acting was incredible. The story was awesome. I loved every part of it, and it was obviously very influential because then we had Pearl later on. And yes, Pearl was on my honorable mentions. I did like it stylistically more than X, but I thought X was just a stronger story. It had less that I was a little bit confused about. I'll talk about Pearl in a little bit. I'll probably bring that up when I do some of my more reviews from last year, when I do some of my Oscar in the middle stuff. Number 9, Bullet Train. This honestly was just such a fun ride. But honestly, no, it was an incredibly fun, action-packed movie. It was interesting. Train movies are great. Movies with all the gunfights and interesting characters are great. They put that all together and added Brad Pitt. Obviously, it's going to be an amazing movie. I'm starting to prioritize movies that I have fun with and want to go back and watch again, rather than ones where I'm like, that was really, really good, but it's hard to watch. Like The Whale, that's probably why that's on my honorable mentions, even though when I do that review, you're going to see it was an incredible movie. But Bullet Train was fun. I had a really great time with it. And even though it kind of sort of does literally go off the rails a little bit at the end, it was such an enjoyable movie and super funny. At number 8, Scream 2022, or what should have been Scream with a 5 for the S. They're doing Scream 6 this year, and I am a little bit nervous of how they're going to do it, but that is because I thought Scream 2022 was just so good. They did a really great job, as I said in my video of it, of just amping up the meta-ness without being too much. And for the original Scream fans, they did a lot of stuff that was like, that was super cool, but it made sense. They kind of went back to some things, but it didn't feel redundant. I thought it was amazing. They had a new take on it. I loved all of the little details of the horror and the suspenseful scenes that they gave us. And obviously, we got to have a lot of the original actors back. So I thought it was a great soft reboot or requel, as they call it, for this. And it made me excited for Scream 6, even though I'm a little nervous. But I honestly just genuinely thought it was super great. And the fact that it was a January horror and it was good, that's awesome. At number 7, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I'm a little surprised that this made my top 10 a little bit, only because some of the characters, when I watched it, I was like, okay, they're okay. And it was like an A24 that was a little bit sideswiped compared to things like The Whale and X and Pearl that came out this year. But really, honestly, why it probably made my top 10 list is because of the ending. And again, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it just makes the whole movie come together. And it really was interesting, just the entire movie, trying to figure out who did this, what's happening, all this dialogue and backstory that's coming out. And obviously the aesthetic of like the glow sticks and everything was awesome too. It was a really tightly written story, and I was very surprised, especially towards the end, how much it came full circle and really what it implied for the entire rest of the movie, that you're like, I have to go see this again. At number 6, See How They Run. Yeah, actually, it's funny that I did put this over top of Glass Onion and that being in the honorable mentions. I think mostly just because I like the aesthetic of this one more, kind of like I like Knives Out's aesthetic better. I just like the wintry fall stuff when it comes to mysteries rather than like a summer thing. But that's purely just a personal taste. But See How They Run was such a really cool mystery that has like this cool backstory and context of the mousetrap play that's still going on. And I just thought it was another one that was clever and funny and fun and a little bit heartwarming with the buddy cop sort of thing going on there. Sam Rockwell and Saoirse Ronan were awesome, and I was just clever once again. It was kind of like just another Clue. And yeah, the fact that it was surrounding like theater and everything this time, I thought just made it super fun. At number 5, Top Gun Maverick. I know this is going to be higher on a lot of people's lists, and I really rose up on mine the more I thought about it. But when it came to Top Gun and then Top Gun Maverick, I honestly didn't think I'd like either as much as I did, because I'm not a huge like military person and action and stuff like that all the time with those kinds of things. But these movies are so good. And to be honest with you, I think I liked Maverick more than Top Gun. I'm going to probably do a review on this now that it's nominated for Best Picture. I'm going to add that into my Oscars in the middle. So I'll talk about it more then. But it was just really good. Like, it was emotional. It was insane. Like, the action, how it was shot was incredible. The story was so tight. The characters are amazing. It was such a good movie, and it is not higher on my list just because of the other movies that were up here that I liked even more, but I was very surprised how much I liked Top Gun Maverick. At number 4, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. I have seen this described multiple times as a hug of a movie, and God, that is just the perfect description. It is just so delightful. And I talked about it a little bit in my live stream at the end, but I was excited to be able to talk about it a little bit more because it's so nice, and yeah, people are gonna be like, you put this over Top Gun Maverick. I don't care, man. I loved the crap out of this movie. It's just so simple, and it's one of those A24s that's obviously not a horror and not like this weird comedy sort of thing. It's just a nice small documentary on a shell with eyes. That hour and a half went like that because you just want to see more and more of this shell, he's so small and cute, and the way that he moves around the house, and it was very emotional too. I loved the crap out of this movie, and it's not really hard to understand why. I think it's pretty obvious that, like, yeah, you put eyes on this shell and give it a really cute small voice, people are gonna fawn over it. Number 3, The Menu. This was one of those, like I said in my review, that I thought this is gonna be good, and I don't know much about it, and then it didn't disappoint me like some of the others of last year. A lot of people I know. Actually, I've seen that don't like it just because they thought it was too on the nose or whatever. If you liked Glass Onion, and apparently I haven't seen this yet, but if you like Triangle of Sadness, you should also like The Menu, because they're all basically about the same thing, and just the fact that it was so well written, I could have just watched course after course of like what they would have done, and how what the twist would have been in each of them. It was super funny, like in a dark way. It was suspenseful. It was shocking. I loved Anya Taylor-Joy, loved Ralph Fiennes even more. This is one of my favorite roles that he's ever done. I'm super excited to watch this one again. It was great. Number 2, Everything Everywhere All at Once. This definitely rivaled my number 1 for a while, and I don't need to say much on it just because everybody knows how good it is. Everybody knows, like, it's been nominated for like 11 awards, and that's just the Oscars. I mean, this is an insanely complex but also very emotional and deep movie, and it is a ride to try to figure out what is going on for a lot of it, but it's not like confusing to the point where you're like, I'm annoyed by this. It lays out the rules, but then you just have existential fun with it. I mean, it goes in insane places. The action is awesome. The twists and turns are awesome. It's like a game of a movie, to be honest with you. And all the characters are super fun. Jamie Lee Curtis is amazing. Michelle Yeoh is amazing. Kiwi Kwan is amazing. And I have never seen a fight with a fanny pack before. And this gave me that. But then, of course, by the end, it just gets at all these deep thoughts about life and other worlds and why we should be happy and content being in ours, of where we are now. And man, it's just obviously one of A24's best ever. And at number 1, you already know what it is. It's The Batman. I had a 17-minute video on why I loved the crap out of this. And yeah, I didn't end up making it a top shelf movie like I originally had planned, but I just can't get over the movie experience I had watching this, because it just had such a deep, like, rich feel and tone and like look to it. Oh my God, I'd never seen a Batman movie like this. I loved Robert Pattinson. I loved Paul Dano as the Riddler, obviously. But honestly, the fact that this came out in March, I think it was, and I'm still thinking about it, not like the recency bias, but like from like 9 months ago, 10 months ago, I freaking loved this movie so much. I thought it brought a new, fresh take to the Batman character and story that I hadn't seen before. I'm very excited to see where they go with this next one, but yeah, even if we just got that one, The Batman was the coolest movie theater experience I had in 2022, and that's saying something because there were a lot of them, but it was awesome. Well, guys, those are my top 10 of 2022. Like I said, every year it's going to be harder because there's just going to be more and more movies coming out, and I'm not going to be able to see them all. So maybe one of these would have made it. Honestly, probably the honorable mentions. This probably would have stuck to being my top 10. But let me know in the comments below, what is your top 10 of 2022, and some honorable mentions as well. So look out for all of my 2023 reviews coming out. I'm going to be starting with Knock at the Cabin this coming week, actually. So look out for that, and also look out for the Subbies nomination for the second annual Subbies. I will be putting those out soon. I will let you know when they are ready. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and movies right in the middle. I'll see you guys later.